kind of think no matter how hard we work to keep our homes clean and try to stay tidy, most of us feel some level of shame around our homes. We feel embarrassed that we don't have things more together, that our homes get messy sometimes, and it's something we often kind of keep to ourselves. We don't want to admit to people around us that we feel this shame or feel this sense of, ugh, why is my home never clean? And so today I wanted to share 5 things to help with that feeling, both in making you feel less bad about it, but also in helping you get your home to a better place. And I know some of this sounds kind of superficial, but I do think that a lot of people harbor this deep sense of guilt or shame around this, and it actually makes life less happy for people. So I'm here to make you feel better about it all, and stick with me as we go through the things. I'm doing this for me too. The first thing that I think can help reduce shame around our homes and the mess is just acknowledging to ourselves that actually most people are messy most of the time. At least I feel like I can say that within the US. I don't know about every culture everywhere, but in the US, people do have an excess of stuff. I've said it many times, but several years ago, according to the LA Times, the average American household has 300,000 belongings. And there is no way that with 300,000 or more belongings lying around your home that you're able to keep it neat and nice all the time. And I think the only way for people to actually stay fully neat all of the time is some kind of combination of plenty of resources, wealth, and plenty of time. People who are super neat probably have the resources to hire help, to let things go because they can rebuy things more easily. They maybe also just have the luxury of more free time on their hands because they have more wealth so that they can put time into making their home feel nice. But for most of us who don't have the luxury of copious amounts of money or copious amounts of time, it's hard to stay on top of it. And when we see pictures online, on social media, in magazines, we see apartments in movies, we tend to think that that must be the norm, that most people have it all together and everything is mostly neat most of the time, when the reality is usually most people have some kind of mess most of the time. And even when you think about it on social media, so often people are taking pictures of a room that they spent a ton of time preparing, or they are showing one part of a room and not the rest of it because the rest of the room is kind of messy. I can tell you right now, admittedly, I'm showing you one part of the room and there are some clean surfaces, but there's also a bunch of toys for my daughter laying over there in the corner. So I'm just saying sometimes your impression isn't always reality. Now, I'm not saying this to have you feel like, well, I should just give up then if everyone's messy. No, my point is that it's okay if you don't have it together all of the time. That being said, I do think there are things we can do to make it a little bit easier, to make our homes a more pleasant place to be in, and to just not be as stressed out about it all. But I just wanted to start by cutting through the crap, and any time that you look around your space and you're like, oh, why can't I get it together? Why is it messy? Just remember, most people are messy, and you may actually be better off on the scale of messiness than you think. A second way to feel better about your home is to just go out and to declutter that area that's stressing you out the most. Find the time in your schedule, separate it out, figure out how to make it happen. The nice thing about decluttering is that it is something that can happen in a day, especially if you're not necessarily trying to do your entire home. Like if you just pick out that problem area, you can get a lot done in a day. And it's actually rare to be able to make that kind of difference in any part of your life in one day. Like, you can't necessarily train for a marathon in a day. You can't complete a whole project or study for some big tests and complete the test in a day. Like, often hard things in life take lots of time, months or years even. But that's the great beauty of decluttering. You can find that area that's stressing you out the most, maybe that back closet that's always annoying, the storage space that's been getting to you, or just even the main area where you spend the most time. What area has been dogging you the most? And just take one day to declutter it, and it will make a huge impact. And there is a beauty and a freeing feeling in that. And I think part of this is figuring out what actually does stress me out the most. What makes my life harder day to day? Is it the back closet because I have nowhere to just quickly throw things to get them out of the way, and it's creating this clutter creep into the rest of my space? Or is it just looking at the surfaces in my main living area and realizing all these trinkets and piles of paper are just getting to me and I need to go through them? Figure it out, what is bugging you the most, and address it. A third very great way to help reduce your stress and shame around your home is to sell old furniture or big pieces that you just aren't using. If you are someone who does have some of those like old antiques or just items that you had in a past apartment but now they're in storage, consider selling them. I recently sold a couple of pieces on Facebook Marketplace and I can't tell you how good it felt. It is such a reinforcing thing to just get it out of your home, free up more space, and actually make money in the process. Plus, also by selling something, you're giving that item a second life, a whole second kind of use for somebody. And in a way that's kind of more environmentally friendly. You're happy because you have the money. The person who buys it is happy because they have this new item they're excited about. It really is great all the way around. And I think it's worth taking the time to just eliminate 1 or 2 or 3 big items from your home that you just don't realistically use. A fourth strategy is to acknowledge what you are doing right. It is so easy to get bogged down in the negative, to feel like this spot is messy, this area is bugging me, but you forget the progress that you have made, or you forget what you are on top of in life, and that maybe your home for a little while is taking a back seat because you're stressed out and accomplishing things in other areas. Or maybe it's that you're putting a little bit of time into rest and recuperation, which is important too. Take a scan of your life and think about, what am I doing well? And focus on that for a bit in the context of these moments of shame, because sometimes that can help reduce the shame around your home a little bit. And you can even do this within the context of the home. Like maybe one back closet is overwhelmingly messy, but you've got a pretty nice main area, or you tend to keep your dining table clean, or you're good at keeping the kitchen mess mostly at bay. Figure out what you are getting better at, because usually through life we tend to get better at home stuff just gradually by living and having experience. Acknowledge what progress you have made and enjoy it, savor it, because if anything, that's going to boost your motivation more to make further progress and to do better. Shame is such a joy sucker and a motivation sucker. I mean, I will say sometimes a little bit of shame can motivate you to do the right thing, but when it becomes too much or too negative, I know that the far more motivating thing, even according to research, is to positively reinforce yourself for the good that you've done. And so the more you can think about what progress you have made, what you're good at, even if it's outside taking care of the home, even if it's your job or being a parent or being a friend, whatever it is that you're good at, focus on that a little bit, and it might help put you in a better headspace to think, I am capable. I can go out and improve my space and make a difference. And then this fifth one is ultimately maybe the most important, and that is to focus on consuming less. So focus on buying less, on impulsively gathering things. And I always think this is a tough one because sometimes there are ebbs and flows in our shopping habits. And also we do have to buy things. We need to eat, we need to have clothes, we need to have stuff to survive. So it's not always clear cut. But if we can gradually work on thinking about our consumption habits, reducing shopping, it will make a big difference in how your home feels, because ultimately it's that excess stuff that leads to the mess. Ways to do this, I talk about this a lot on this channel. Subscribe if you want to see more ideas around this, but a few things to consider are doing a no-buy period, even if it's just for a week. Saying, I'm not going to buy anything other than absolute necessities for that period of time, and you'll have kind of a reset, or at least it might change how you feel about your consumption. Another strategy, if you're not ready to go cold turkey, is to go to the thrift store. Go shop secondhand rather than firsthand, because honestly, you can get things a lot more cheaply. You're more willing to get rid of them also in the future in a declutter if you know they're secondhand anyway. And ultimately, it's better for the environment too. I have to admit, just the other day, I was like itching for some kind of retail or purchasing therapy, and I knew it was a bad decision. So I didn't shop the normal way, but I did go to a thrift store and I found this adorable wooden rocking horse for my daughter for $6.99. It's also secondhand, so I'm not being as wasteful, and I can always also redonate it again if my daughter doesn't end up enjoying it. Point is, there are slightly healthier ways to consume less and to reduce the shopping or the damage shopping might be creating in people's lives. That being said, even with a thrift store, you got to be careful about how much you gather, because ultimately every time you get something new, it's coming into your home, and someday you will have to deal with that thing again. Whether it's to declutter it, give it away, reorganize it, store it, use it, you are going to encounter that object again. And thinking about that every time before I add something into my home, I think is a worthwhile thing to do. So just remember, once you bring something in, you gotta deal with it again later. Anyway, these were just 5 simple things to help you reduce shame and cope with the clutter in your space. Again, those 5 things are: first, acknowledging most people are messy most of the time. You're not alone. Second, declutter the areas that stress you out the most. It is amazing what you can do in one day. Third, sell old furniture or big piece items that you're not using. Fourth, acknowledge what you're doing right. Reinforce yourself for the progress you've made and what you've done meaningfully in your life. And 5, focus on consuming less. Buy less, collect less, figure out the barriers that are leading you to overconsumption, and try to reckon with that and make a little bit of a change, one step at a time. I also just want to add at the end of this video, I recently posted a video where I shared some big news about an audio documentary podcast series that I and a team recently started coming out with. It's still coming out weekly, week to week. I'll put the link at the top of the description box here again if you're interested. But it basically is a podcast about a cult and really going deep inside what it was like to be in that cult for several people. So if that interests you, check it out and subscribe. It's a great way to support me and the team. I bring it up again, maybe to tell more of you about it, but also to say thank you for all the kind comments on that video. I haven't historically talked much about my podcasting work or my journalism work, and it felt a little bit vulnerable to put myself out there, and I just really appreciated all the kind comments in that video and the support, the fact that some of you actually started listening and subscribed. It means the world. It really makes a difference for people to subscribe because it can actually impact whether another show in the future gets picked up and gets funded. So it is a direct impact just by subscribing. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't already and the topic interests you, check it out. It's obviously very different from this channel, so it might not be for you, and that's okay. Anyway, thank you so much for spending this little bit of time with me, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.